There may have been some serious, like, miscommunication here in the past with you two. Now, I think that with strength coming in, this is going to be about a relationship with someone where you have had to, like, hold yourself back or hold your tongue. Because with the Five of Swords being there, the way that you communicate with this, words hurt. Now, looking at the moon though, I think the reason why communication went this way is because you're dealing with somebody who isn't being very realistic about the relationship or doesn't know how they feel. So you may have been dealing with somebody who was confusing you, but that's because they're confused about their own situation. Now, you know, it could be here though that we're talking about, I don't want to say outside opposition, but that could be the case with the Five of Swords. It could be misinformation that causes any kind of communication between the two of you to turn into like an argument, especially if this person got, you know, the wrong information about you. And I say that because of the moon, because clearly they don't know you, besides them not even knowing themselves. But I think that any kind of conversation that you may have had with this person in the past led to, you know, some serious arguments. And you may be looking at that again coming out in future conditions. And it may not, I don't want to say that it's not going to be good. I just want to say that I think that this is more so indicating that you're tired of playing games with this person. So then you move into the Queen of Cups. Now, if this is about you, whether you're male or female, this is going to be about the feelings that you have for this person, the feelings that you are getting in tune with. Now, we could also be talking about you getting to a place where, you know, you are healing after a serious argument or disagreement. And with the Wheel of Fortune on their side, it's like they see an opportunity for things to start to change here. So we're coming to the end of, you know, this cycle of confusion and possibly, you know, starting again here. But the ability to create something in this relationship lies in your hands. Now, that Queen of Cups, though, could be the person that you're dealing with. And again, whether they're male or female, possibly water sign, doesn't matter. You may be looking at them as being emotionally unstable. I don't necessarily feel manipulative, but it may come off that way. Now, like I said, the Magician here, I think, is about you holding the ability to create whatever you want in terms of this situation, right? I don't think that this is something that you're going to leave in the hands of this person, because with them showing the Ten of Wands, clearly they have too much weighing on them to be able to make what they want happen with the situation. And that could be where the arguments are coming through, though, too, if we're talking about somebody who has a hard time releasing the burdens that they're carrying, whatever that burden is. But clearly they're needing to, you know, get rid of some stuff here, or free themselves of a situation, you know, because that opportunity is there. But I have to wonder if you're not dealing with somebody who may be like emotionally back and forth. Though I do still think that the Queen of Cups for a lot of you is going to show, you know, the kinds of feelings that you have for this person and how in tune you are with that. This person does something for you, even if they're emotionally out of whack or if they have a hard time expressing their emotions. Now, coming out with the Seven of Wands, this is where I think that you've kind of like had enough, right? Like drawing the line in the sand, you know, speaking up here. It's a little bit defensive. You're tired of all of the things that are, you know, stopping this relationship, whether that's, you know, outside things or if it's whatever is going on with this person that they're allowing all this shit to pile on them. With Justice, somebody's going to have to make something right. The situation needs to be corrected, but we're also talking about what is fair and what is balanced. Now, Again, going back to the Five of Swords, any kind of communication toward that, especially with them showing the Nine of Pentacles, I don't think is going to go over well for you. And it may be one of those things where this person just doesn't know if they want to be involved in like a committed relationship with you. And I say that because of the Nine of Pentacles. This to me, in terms of relationships, a lot of times it shows that somebody is, you know, happier doing things on their own. It's not that they're incapable of being in a relationship, but they don't want to call it that, I think is the best way to put that. But let's take a look at the Nine of Pentacles. That, or we're just talking about somebody who is needing to, you know, release a bunch of burdens and become more independent so that, you know, they can start working on things here. But I think that there's going to be a conversation between you and this person about how we are going to, you know, go about having this relationship. And I think that you're being very blunt and straightforward with them. I really feel like you're not wanting to play games anymore. It either is or it isn't. You can't keep messing with me or my emotions. So, and I've been noticing this one like crazy. And it would make sense with the new year. Everybody is in this place where, you know, they are learning more about themselves and their ability to, you know, start working on different areas of their life. But a lot of times the Page of Pentacles here is going to be about realistically looking at what we are working toward. But it is the beginning. And it's also communication of that. You are coming from a place of the Ten of Pentacles going, look, I'm not going to settle for anything less than absolute security and stability. And I have to wonder if for some of you, this isn't somebody that you have lived with at one point or are thinking about living with. You know, which can be the case here. But I really think that, especially with the Seven of Wands and looking at the Five of Swords, this is kind of where the communication is going. And as far as like holding your tongue, I don't think that you're doing that here in the future. I think that, you know, you're going to be very, very direct. We need to get some fairness and balance with this. Things need to be corrected. But I think that that may be more on their side than yours. Other than you maybe lashing out a little bit with the Five of Swords. But I don't know. I kind of get the feeling that this person has been like back and forth with you. Now, moving into the Four of Cups with the Seven of Pentacles, immediately what I got from this is that, yeah, you're not happy with the fact that they're trying to reevaluate things in a way where it's like they're trying to justify the fact that, you know, they think that the right thing to do here is to kind of like not do this and be on their own. So, you know, I mean, very clearly, I think that you're like, no, I'm not going to settle for anything less than absolute security and stability. But you may be getting really tired of dealing with the situation with this person if they're constantly trying to reevaluate the relationship and if it's worth investing into. You know, they come off as that they're trying to be practical. But what I don't like is this wait and see type of feeling here with the High Priestess. Now, yeah, it could be here that they may be, you know, expressing some things that they've been keeping to themselves, and it may lead to, you know, this new beginning here with the Ace of Cups, because the Ace of Cups is great. It is. But when we're talking about, you know, what's going to happen with this relationship, I really feel like all of this is you saying, you know, no, this is what I expect. You know, I can't deal with that, right? We've had this conversation one too many times. We're either going to be together or we're not. But with the High Priestess, you know, this could definitely show that they're keeping something to themselves that they can't anymore. And we may be looking at how that's going to affect your ability to have this kind of like, you know, beginning and fulfillment with this person. You know, and again, right, emotions running high and low. Like, one time the cup is completely filled, the next is just completely drained out. And I think that that's, you know, kind of where you're coming from here. But I also get this like wait and see type of feel from them. But I also think that there are some things that they can't hide anymore that I think that they need to discuss with you. And, you know, for some of you, yeah, it could have to do with, you know, separation and divorce, and it could possibly have to do with somebody else that may be causing problems with this relationship, especially if it's about an ex. But, you know, I would say, Taurus, that you're doing the right thing here by kind of like, now, first of all, I hate the way that the Hierophant is depicted in this deck. Bothers me. But this is really about spiritual support for a relationship. But because we're looking at it in the past and you're looking back at how a relationship was in the past, I think that for some of you, this is going to be about looking back at a commitment that you may have once had or made with someone. And it could be someone from the past that you feel like was that one and only romance, right? Now, with the Magician, we're talking about somebody who is trying to make something happen. This could be about you or the other person here. And with the Ace of Wands, yeah, it is a new beginning. I mean, you have it 3 times here between the Magician and the 2 aces. This could literally be about somebody that you have divorced or separated from. And that may be because they were not the person who they used to be. But here in the middle, it looks like, you know, we're starting again. We're letting go of the past. There's a new passionate beginning. And with the Ace of Swords, we're talking about trust. So trust may become an issue if someone cannot express the way that they feel. That is the Page of Cups. They're having a hard time trying to say what they need to say in order for you to feel like you're going to be able to trust this person. But I think that they're trying. But clearly something about them has changed. And then the 4 of Pentacles. And that may be the problem here. If we're talking about whether or not you can trust this person, they need to try a little bit harder. I almost worry if... How do I say this? I think that some of you may be looking at this going, maybe this isn't worth my time. You know, if they can't talk to me, if they can't tell me how they feel, then how the hell am I supposed to trust them again? Because the 4 of Pentacles coming out, that's somebody who's trying to get the passion going, but they're just not, they need to try harder. They're not doing enough. But with the King of Pentacles, you know, and again, whether you're dealing with another Taurus, if you're dealing with another earth sign, male, female, it doesn't matter. But this very clearly is about somebody who's looking at how someone used to be versus how they are now. You know, so we could be talking about somebody who is, you know, very like pushy and maybe a little bit too controlling, you know, or a little bit too demanding, I think would be the best way to put it. But clearly there's something about this person that I don't think that it was that easy for you to let go of. Like you really looked at them like they were your true love. But with the 6 of Swords being there, this to me looks like the both of you are like coming back together. It's almost like if you've had a good amount of distance between the two of you, like literally, and you know, distance in terms of not being around each other, you know, either way, this is you coming back together with this person here. Somebody is at least trying to make the effort to like bridge the gap, so to speak. But like I said, with the 4 of Pentacles, man, if they don't start saying something here, I don't think that it's going to be easy for you to trust them again. You know, especially if they're coming in with this, I want to be committed, you know? And again, it kind of feels like the other reading, like you're dealing with somebody who says that they want to commit and then their actions don't really show that, you know? But I think what's more important for you is that they have to start communicating here and they need to start trying if you're going to trust them enough to open up. It's okay to give into, I think, these feelings, these romantic feelings that you have for this person. So looking at the 3 of Cups and then the 3 of Wands. The 3 of Wands is going to be about 2 people realizing that they still feel the same way about each other, right? And with the 3 of Cups, we're talking about mending any kind of issues, mending the broken heart. It's a good thing, right? So you still feel the same way about each other. There's very much this love and this connection, but somebody is still very bitter about something. That would be your Page of Pentacles here. A relationship that is going sour. And again, right, somebody who is being, or how do I put this? Somebody who's unable to let go of something, right? They're still bitter about something that may have happened where, you know, they needed to try to make up for whatever went wrong, you know, but there is very much a part of you, I think, that loves this person or them you. Like, I don't doubt that here. But with the Fool, I have to wonder if some of you don't question on whether or not this is actually the right path you should be taking in terms of your relationships. So I think that at some point, either you or the other person are going to consider like moving on. And it comes up again here with the Ten of Pentacles. But the interesting thing is with the Nine of Cups, you're happy. There's happiness there, and there's definitely love. But you, I think, are going to be the Ten of Pentacles and the Fool in this situation. The Ten of Pentacles, right? There is abundance to be had in this relationship, and I'm sure that there are areas in this relationship that are very abundant, especially when it comes to this happiness and this love and these feelings, right? But this is going to be about self-reflection. Is this who you see yourself being in a relationship, or are you something that you're not, you know? So I think some of you may be looking at that, but the thing is that happiness may outweigh this feeling of needing to kind of like move on. But this worries me because that needs to be cleared up. Clearly it wasn't here. And then, yeah, you have the King of Cups coming out. And again, whether you're dealing with male, female, water sign, this is going to be somebody who's very loving, very romantic, right? And romantic feelings. It's okay to give in to that. That's what I feel like telling you. But very clearly here, there needs to be some kind of healing, or there was an attempt to heal some issues in the past with the Star being there, for sure. You know, and again, the Three of Cups shows that, the mending of the broken heart, right? And clearly, you know, you two both feel the same way about each other. But unfortunately, the healing did not take care of this bitterness. But I do think that the reason why we're looking at somebody being bitter is because the relationship may be falling into this kind of like routine. The Four of Cups is going to be that, like, you know, yeah, nothing really exciting is happening. It's just the same thing day in and day out. So it's like they started off good, but they didn't follow through. And now you're just going back into the same routine. And I think some of you may be questioning on whether or not you want to continue this with the Fool. But like I said, coming out here, I think that this by far outweighs what you think about the relationship, or think about yourself in the relationship, because again, we're doing the self-reflection, right? But I think that, you know, you could possibly be dealing with a person here that's like stepping up to the plate, and it's worth it, right? It's worth it.